Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mickey and I'm a South African citizen that is currently teaching English in South Korea. In this video, I'll be telling you guys how you can also come and teach English in South Korea. So if that's something that you're interested in, then please stay tuned for the rest of this video. So guys, the first thing that you will need to decide on before you actually come and teach English in South Korea is whether or not you want to be teaching at a private school or a government school. There are many pros and cons to each, but ultimately the reason why I chose to teach at a private school is because they pay more, number one, and number two, you get to choose which city you want to go to. So for example, if you want to go to Durban or Cape Town or Port Elizabeth, any Korean city that you are interested in, you can go to that city if you teach at a private school. And number three, the process of coming to teach at a private school was way more easier compared to what was required of me if I had wanted to teach at a government school. So that is why I chose to teach at a private school. I will be linking down a video in the description box for those of you that do want to teach at a government school so that you guys can follow that process. But in this video, we will only be talking about private schools. So now that you've decided that you want to teach at a private school, the first thing that you will need to do is check whether you qualify to be teaching in South Korea. And in order to qualify to teach in South Korea, you need to qualify for an E2 visa. And if you want to come and teach on an E2 visa, you need to be from a native English speaking country. And these are the 7 native English speaking countries. You will also need a clean criminal background check. So this means that you have to be someone who has never committed a crime in South Africa. You will also need to do a health check. Number 3, you'll need to have a degree. It can be a degree in anything and in any major, as long as it is a degree that is recognized in the country that you are from. As long as it is a degree that is from a recognized institution from whatever country you are from. So now that we have established that you actually do qualify to come and teach English in Korea, the first thing that you will need to do is to make sure that you have a clean criminal record. You have to go to a police station, your nearest police station, and tell them that you want to do a criminal background check. At the police station, they will take your fingerprints and you will be required to pay 160 Rand for those fingerprints. When they finish taking your fingerprints, they will then tell you that they will take your fingerprints to the Criminal Record Center in Pretoria. But I advise that you actually don't let your local police station take your documents to Pretoria because it'll take a really long time. Instead, ask whoever is helping you if you can take your documents yourself to the Criminal Record Center, and they should give you your fingerprints and you can take them yourself to the Criminal Record Center. So after they've given you your fingerprints, you can just take them to a courier company and ask them to send it to the Criminal Record Center in Pretoria. After you have sent your fingerprints to the Criminal Record Center via courier to Pretoria, you will receive an SMS from the Criminal Record Center informing you that they have received your fingerprints and that they will tell you when they are ready. This process will take up to, I think, between 1 month to 2 months, depending on whether or not how busy they are or if they have a backlog. It just depends on a number of factors. But this, I remember, it took a really long time for me, and yeah, you should just be prepared to wait. So after you have waited and your documents are ready, the Criminal Record Center will send you another SMS informing you that you can come and fetch your police clearance. So after you have sent your police clearance to the Criminal Record Center, the next thing that you will need to do is verify your degree at SALCA. And basically this is just a way to verify your degree. And what you need to do is you need to send a scanned copy of your degree and a copy of your ID and a letter that you will download on the SALCA website that you need to fill in, and email those 3 documents to them and ask them to verify your degree. This process is going to take you another maybe 1 to 2 months, again maybe 3 months. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about the time period. I forgot, but most of things that I'm going to mention in this video, they take a minimum of 1 month. So yeah, when you send your documents to SAQA, your scanned documents, they will then get back to you and tell you how much you need to pay. And I think you will need to pay 610 Rand. That is how much I paid for them to verify your degree. So after you have done that and you've requested for SAQA to send your degree, to verify your degree, when they have verified your degree, they will take it to Postnet Brooklyn. They will take your letter verification to Postnet Brooklyn. And at Postnet Brooklyn, you can then ask them to take your police clearance, which you will send to them with your SAQA verification letter. You will ask them to take those 2 documents to DIRCO to be apostilled. Postnet Brooklyn will then give you a form that you need to fill in order to instruct DIRCO about, okay, you need to tell DIRCO which country you will be going to. That's why they will give you that form. And at DIRCO, they will then know that they need to apostille your documents. So yeah, that would be the next step. Take your documents to DIRCO for them to be apostilled. Now, this process will be the longest process. It takes the most time. I think for me, it took me like 2.5 months, because at the time there were a lot of people that were applying to come and teach English in South Korea. So I had to wait for a really long time. So while you are waiting for your documents at DIRCO, the next thing you can do is do your TEFL certificate. A TEFL certificate is basically a certificate that prepares you for teaching, right? Especially if you don't have a teaching degree. If you have a teaching degree, do not do a TEFL certificate. But if you have a degree that is outside of teaching, then I would 100% recommend that you do a TEFL certificate. I personally did my TEFL certificate at International Open Academy. They are a recognized institution, and if you guys would like to do your TEFL certificate there as well, you can use my link down in the description box to get a discount. And then after you finish your TEFL certificate, I would then recommend that you start working on your introduction video and your CV. In your CV, you just need to put maybe your work experience. If you have been a teacher, you need to put down that you actually do have a TEFL certificate. You need to put down what kind of degree you have, your contact information, just things of that nature. A CV is a CV. And then after you finished jotting down your CV, the next thing that you will need to do is your introduction video. And in your introduction video, this is where your potential employers will be looking at you, right? This is where they will get to meet you. So make sure that you dress well, that you speak well. They want to hear how you speak. They just want to see you, your face, and your overall vibe. Some recruiters would advise you to actually do an introduction video demonstrating how you would teach a class, but some just want to hear how you talk. So you can just talk a bit about yourself, why you want to teach in Korea, just include information like that, and yeah, you should be good. So while you're waiting for DIRCO, these 3 things you should finish while your documents are being processed: your TEFL certificate, your CV, and your introduction video. So after you finish these 3 things, I'm sure by now your documents should be back from DIRCO. And after your documents are back from DIRCO, this is when you can start applying for jobs in Korea. Please do not apply for jobs while you are waiting for your documents. No one is going to take you seriously, and usually when you start applying for jobs, recruiters will give you jobs as soon as you start applying. Like, it's not a thing where you will wait for a month before you get an interview, whatever the case is. I literally got interviews a day after I started sending out my introduction video and my CV to recruiters, because that's how quickly the whole process goes. So yeah, most of the time they are looking for people that are going to start as soon as possible. That is why they don't even talk to people that are saying, oh, my documents are still at DIRCO, I'm still doing this. They are not interested. They want people that want to come to Korea ASAP. So that is why you first need to wait until your documents are finished before you start applying for jobs, right? So after your documents are ready, that is when you can start applying to recruiters. I will link a few potential recruiters down in the description box, and you can send them an email. And in that email, you have to tell them, you have to send them, your CV, and your introduction video. There are also some questions that I'm going to put down in the description box, some prompts that you can answer, that you can send to recruiters so that they know who they're working with and all of that. Yeah, I'll write that down in the description box, and yeah, send them that email and they should get back to you literally within 24 hours. So after you've sent all that information to recruiters, some of the recruiters will request to have an interview with you. And in this interview, it won't be something as formal as having an interview with your school, but it is still somewhat a bit like formal, because in this interview they'll just be basically asking you questions about yourself. They'll be asking you about your experience, your degree, where you want to work, like which city you want to work, how much you want to get paid. Okay, some of them ask, some don't. They'll be asking which age group you want to teach. Do you want to teach elementary? Do you want to teach kindergarten, middle school, high school? Who do you want to teach? Your working hours. Do you want to teach in the morning? Do you want to teach in the evening? All of that information you will have with the recruiter in the interview so that they can get you a school that meets your requirements. And then after you've spoken to your recruiter and they have all of your requirements, they then go out and look for schools for you. Now your recruiters will be sending you school after school after school after school until you get the school that you want to work with. I would recommend that you work with more than one recruiter, because sometimes, for example, I worked with a recruiter once who sent me 3 schools and I didn't like any of the schools. And then that would mean that I have to now go to another recruiter, because sometimes they also get tired, you know, like if you're not getting the school that you want and they keep on sending you schools, they eventually run out of schools to give you, you know. So especially schools that meet your criteria. There are only so many schools, for example, that are in Seoul that meet your requirements, that actually want you as well. So when they are out of schools, for example, that are in Seoul, then you would need to go to and talk to another recruiter and they can get you schools that are also within that location, you know. So work with more than one recruiter so you can have interviews with a lot of schools, right? And you should find your school eventually, and when you find your school, you'll then have an interview with that school. They'll send you a contract. You decide if you're happy with it or not, and if you are happy with that contract, your recruiter will then instruct you to sign, and then that is when you will need to send your documents, the ones that you sent to DERCO, to SALCOA, your police clearance, everything. You will then need to send those documents to South Korea, and those documents will, I think it will cost you 750 rand to send those documents to South Korea, to courier them to South Korea. And once you've couriered those documents to South Korea, they will then be taken to immigration, and that is where you will get your VIN. I think VIN stands for Visa Insurance Number. Yeah, I think that's what it stands for. And after you've gotten your VIN, then they will give you that number, and then you will apply for a visa at the South African embassy. So there are some documents that you will need to take with you to the South Korean embassy that is in South Africa. You'll take some documents there, and then that is when your visa will be issued to you. Now that you've gotten your visa, it will be time for you to actually fly and go and start teaching in South Korea. Some schools, I know, they will, for example, pay for your flight, like they'll book your flight for you and everything, and you don't have to pay for anything. But some schools will require you to pay for your own flight, and then they will reimburse you when you land in South Korea. They'll give you back that flight money when you land, and you can sometimes negotiate that. If you don't have the money, ask them to book that flight ticket. I know there have been people who asked and that request was granted. So maybe if you are someone that doesn't have money to pay, you can always talk to your school and see what they say. And yeah, after that you fly to South Korea and you can now start being an English teacher. And yeah guys, that is how the process goes. If you guys have any more questions, please ask me down in the comments. I will be answering to the best of my abilities. And I hope you guys found this video to be helpful. If you did, please do subscribe to my channel. I will be putting out more information about my life in Korea, and I would love to have you guys be a part of that journey. Thank you and bye. See you in the next video.